Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As day 40 looms, you know, as I said last time, we've kind of been coasting thus far. But now, as of the day 40 power spike, all the threats in the world are about to get that much more threatening. And I'm going to be blunt, we're really not quite where we need to be, but that's just how it goes with Battle Brothers sometimes. I mean, at the very least, we've got a few folks like Annie here finally hitting level 7, which is our nimble level. That at least should help equalize things a little. And of course, that's also why I haven't really stressed getting heavier armor. Generally speaking, heavy armor and nimble do not really go hand in hand. Rather, I've been aiming for that general crucial 15-point threshold where we enjoy the full 60% damage reduction. Granted, of course, that'll only get us so far. We still need proper stats and equipment to really thrive out here, but it's a work in progress, and at the very least, it'll keep Annie alive for a little while longer. Especially if we can keep getting some halfway decent rolls like this. Melee's halfway decent. MDef's only 2 points shy of my 20-point target for level 7. Initiative definitely needs work. As does morale. But on the other hand, it was like a 60 gold higher, so, you know. Speaking of which. Next up we've got Rassel, who unfortunately is much worse off than Annie is, even though he's only one level behind her. Yeah, look at that. Poor guy just cannot catch a break with the RNG. Melee defense, both pretty subpar for a frontline character. Honestly, I think at this point, much as I alluded to before, we might have to just kind of permanently shuffle him to the back line. I don't think we're going to do it yet, but it is something to keep in mind if he lives for another... If he lives to hit level 7. I don't want to pull this shield off him until we have Nimble banked, but I do think long-term we're going to have to switch him permanently off to a backline bonker. Toss him one of those pole maces. And then hope that 10 defense plus dodge and Nimble keeps him alive while he bonks people from the back line. In fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and make it official. And on a similar note, you know, while we're at it, we've still got that perk point banked on Drakiith. And the raider who requested that character saw that we picked up that battle whip last time around, and they've requested to become a cleaver specialist, which I am happy to oblige. There's a lot of potential versatility on the cleavers, and Drak's not far off from hitting that defense threshold where I might be comfortable losing the shield. I feel like there's some potential there. For Rev, things are much more straightforward, obviously nimble, which he does meet the ideal threshold for. And then stat-wise, all the usual boosts. We'll take melee, we'll take morale. 2 points in defense. Could stand to shore up range defense. No, let's not squander that max roll on fatigue. He has been struggling in that department, and that'll just get even worse if and when we pick up Berserk. Tommy straightforward too, still following the path of the thrower. So range, and then I guess I am tempted to go for that max roll on initiative, but I think we need to go health and morale first. Tommy's struggling in both those areas. And then, since this is level 4, we'll grab Gifted, and then we'll crank those even higher. That gets them almost to where they need to be. At least what I would consider the absolute minimum threshold for a viable backliner. Zarmal. Honestly, with a base 12 melee defense, he's already better off than Rassel, so we might as well go ahead and swap them around. Though it does make it all the more important to go ahead and bank Colossus. Bump up that survival threshold on our new assassin. Oh man, and look at that. That is what we want to see. We'll take the max melee, we'll take the max defense, and I guess we'll bank that 5 in initiative. I would like to shore up the health and morale, but ultimately, long term, we also want to get his initiative up to at least 120. Definitely need to bump the rest of those secondaries, though. Which brings us to Bowman. And once again, Nimble immediately bumps up his survivability. Currently at the optimal threshold, so full 60% damage reduction. And again, some halfway decent stat rolls. I am tempted to grab that max roll in range defense. Though I think that will probably be the last time we take it. Between that, dodge, and nimble, they should generally be pretty safe, barring a fluke crossbow headshot. That said, let's hit the pause button real quick whilst I shuffle a few more things around. And we're back. Gear redistributed. Characters shuffled. Lineups not super strong, but, you know, we've got to get some XP on these lower level guys. And, of course, you'll also notice we are back in Hikmah. We were right across the way from it. There was no reason to really come back just so you could watch me walk across the field. Especially since I would have paused again just for inventory management. But now that we're here, might as well hit the arena. The master of the arena meets you at the gate, explaining today's matchup. The alchemists call them, well, I can't even pronounce it. My tongue simply cannot shape itself to the word, for it requires specialized northern lexicography, and I've no time to narrow northern verbiage in a fruitless matter of mundane minutia. Do I look like a phonetician to you? Let's just call them Nash Slashers. They're ghoulish cretins. It's 2 of them. And I've seen them eat men alive, so you'd best hope the Gilder is watching. I don't think he'll have any light for you in the belly of one of those beasts. Noxera, interesting. I mean, obviously nothing we haven't faced before. Though if it's 2 large ones, that could be an issue. 900 gold. Yeah, we'll chance it. I'd feel better about it if we had Fearsome, but even without it, I feel like we should be able to demoralize them pretty quickly. We'll go with our 3 arena mainstays. Eventually, we will want to get Rook in there as well, so he can also bank that resolve bump. But we should at least make sure he has Nimble first. Alright, Raiders, let's do this. For those who are about to die, etc., etc. One large, one medium. Rough, but not as bad as it could have been. The Raiders find themselves squared off against the familiar, horny horror of the Northern Noxera. One the size of a man, the other even larger still. The voracious beasts rush across the sand. Claws the size of daggers tear across Annie's chest, tattering the chained tunic. Valen wards off the beast with a pair of hurled axes, as Verlin engages the other. Though he should have forced it back. Annie is staggered neath the weight of multiple strikes. But Verlin rallies to her defense, allowing the raiders to singularly focus on the larger of the two threats. Oh. Unable to find its way past Annie's guard, the larger brute glances sidelong at Verlin as his attention is distracted. A snatch, a gulp, and Verlin vanishes from sight, shield and all. Val peppers it with yet more projectiles whilst Annie catches their breath. Thankfully, the smaller of the two seems leery to re-engage. And with a mighty swing, Annie clubs the massive Noxera in the gut, forcing it to vomit the none too happy Verlin back into the bile-soaked sands. Verlin still clearing the muck and mire from the lenses of his mask, even as one last javelin from Val sinks deep into the second Noxera's eye socket. Well done, Raiders. Could have gone a little smoother, but we'll take it. So 900 gold and a level up for Val. Not bad at all. What do we need to actually bank that resolve bonus? Is it 5? I thought it was 3. Someone will have to double check me on that. For Val, we'll go ahead and grab Nimble, of course. Make him ever so slightly less of a glass cannon. Max the roll on a bunch of secondaries, all of which we could kind of use. We'll take the health and the resolve. Yeah, that's fine. Need to narrow down which 4 final perks we're giving him before he soft caps at 11. Oh, and you know what? Let's go ahead and slide Annie onto the bench for a moment, just long enough to get that armor patched up. And let's check out that contract. You find a few of the councilmen and the Vizier of Trade waiting near a wagon. They approach you with a document stamped with his emblem. We shall soon be off to Wallen with a caravan of goods. The city guard refused to aid us in defending our wares. However, we are still bright beneath the gilder's eye, and our pockets full of shine. We'll pay you, Crownling, to help us to our destination for the next day. I mean, it's not what we were hoping for, but it will complete our ambition. And Wallen is in the direction we were headed anyway. Might as well get paid to go there. One skull, very unlikely to be intercepted, or to have any surprise twists. Yeah, we'll take it. And we'll save our gold. That way, if Wallen has another hunter to offer, this time we can actually pick them up. And day 40. A foreboding chill permeates the air. But perhaps that's just the morning dew. Having reached Wallen, the caravan's wagons are immediately unloaded, and their goods taken to a nearby warehouse. Once it's all cleared out, the leader of the caravan group hands you a satchel of crowns, and thanks you for making sure their passage was a safe one. Which does finish our current ambition. We've got a 2-skull in offing, no negative events. No hunter, but we do have a potential boyar. With Swift. +5 range defense. I mean, generally speaking, a boyar is inferior to a hunter. But they do have access to a unique event where they can try to craft a masterwork bow, which would be a nice get for bowmen, assuming we can ever actually get it to proc. I'm gonna have to think about that. I was really hoping for a hunter or a witch hunter, but a boyar... Yeah, I'll think on that. We'll go ahead and knock out that one skull whilst I'm mulling on it. You step into Elbrick the Treasurer's room and he shoves a map into your face. There are parts of this world man still has yet to find and chart into his maps. I'm looking for Deadgate Crypt, northeast of here, at or near the region of Bleached Bone Dale. That's about all I know of it, but I do know it exists. So you go and find it for me, and you'll be properly rewarded. Yeah, we can do that. 300 gold just to track the place down, with the option of clearing it out after. Sounds good to me. We do actually still need multiple undead elixirs. Geists, Fallen Heroes. Technically, we still need the Ancient Legionaries, too. We lost the one we had when we retired Eerie, though he is still technically with us, if just in spirit, as our blacksmith. For all their intellectual pursuits and proper mannerisms, the Southerners are under no misapprehension as to your role as a mercenary. Whereas in the North, they'd call you a sellsword. Here, they dub you a crownling. You've spent little mind toward either attribution, recognizing only the stark reality that for as much as they despise you, they seek out your work, award your competency, and remember your billing when future crises arise. And therein lies the cornerstone of the North and South. The mighty crown itself. Languages, religion, peoples, all be damned. A bit of gold needs no translation, no accommodation, and no arbitration. Your pursuit of the crown has shown you to be reliable to the Southerners, and your renown has grown as deep as their pockets. Very nice. Ambition cleared. Let's push the rise. Hopefully we can get lucky, spot this place quick. Hey, look at that. Deadgate Crypt comes into view, and it's immediately reborn upon your map to the best of your illustrative capabilities. Bowman asks if that's all there is to do. You nod. Though, as long as we're already here... Oh, I don't like that we're... Ooh, okay. Well, we have a patrol spawn nearby, so in theory, that could mean this camp is on the weaker end. Since camps do lose power when they spawn patrols. It was also a one skull, though I don't know if the skull contract on a scouting mission is influenced by the difficulty of the camp you're sent to find. But you know what? No guts, no glory. No risk, no reward. As aforementioned, we've got at least 3 or 4 different undead that we have yet to collect elixirs for. So let's do this. Curiosity piqued by their employer's peculiar request. The raiders can't help but investigate further. They approach the long-forgotten graveyard cautiously. A move they will perhaps regret. Who's to say? Certainly wouldn't be the first time. And as they draw closer, they are soon met by the discordant groans of the restless dead. Though something new as well. The mournful wail of literal lost souls. Which might actually be a problem. Morale is our weakest point, and we did come in here with a number of lower-level recruits. But that said, no signs of a necromancer, so 2 Geists might not be too much of an issue. Make that 3. We'll hold here, frame ourselves against the terrain to make this slightly more manageable. If we don't get any closer, I think the Geists hold until round 3 or end of round 2. That'll give us time to whittle down the Wiedergangers. The newest amongst the raiders shuffle uneasily. The horde of shambling corpses is already unsettling enough. But the strange, spectral figures beyond, something else entirely. And yet the anatomists among them gaze upon the ghastly things with avaricious eyes. Who knows what they might learn from this new flavor of nightmare? The specters, however, hang back. Perhaps simply observing, or something else? The raiders hold, braced to receive the incoming horde. Rook's hand remains aloft, a signal telling the raiders to hold their ground. His eyes locked on the flickering phantoms, which finally, soundlessly, drift forward. Sooner than I would have liked, but that's fine. We can work with this. We just need to hold the sides, punch through the center. Hopefully wipe them before they can do too much damage. Verlin holds the south, spear at the ready, warding off one shambling corpse after another. On the north, the Wiedergangers more readily engage, the Geists hovering just beyond. Empty, black eyes gazing into the raiders' very souls. Rook's arm drops, and the raiders push back against the encroaching horde. Blades bite deep. Clubs crunch into rust-crusted chain. The raiders focus on the most heavily armed of their foes. Annie felling the first. A swing of their flail, sending a cleaver-wielding corpse to the ground. Random hangs back, letting Verlin take lead on the south. And crackling staccato wails wash over the raiders. The raider line shaken, but holding. A hurled axe topples a cleaver-wielding undead. An arrow sinks deep into another. Rook shears through the spine of a beast as it tries to clamber over a half-toppled tombstone. Trip holds for a moment, biding his time as he waits for a proper opening. Zarmal cuts down a chain-clad cadaver, and Revenant jukes forward, a thrust of his pike piercing the ephemeral form of one of the flickering phantoms. A frustrated wail heralds its impromptu return to the hereafter. Rassel clips the balding skull of an undead swordsman, providing Trip with the opening he seeks. And he takes a wary step forward, striking down another undead. Eyes set uncertainly on a second Geist. Verlin continues holding the south. A troop of undead militiamen mindlessly throwing themselves into a spear over and over again. Stun already wore off. I can see that's going to be tricky to time. Random finally moves up in the south as Verlin begins to flag. Ooh. And as the first of the fallen corpses rises once more, the inevitable finally occurs. Despite Rook's best efforts to rally, their newest member, the assassin Zarmal, panics. On the north, Trip panics as well. Val hurls his final axe, then grabs for his javelins. A firm shout from Rev, and Trip is shaken back to his senses. And the rest of the raiders grimly persist. Weapons rising and falling as they hack and bash at that which will not die. Tommy fells another, a sodden skull splitting neath the weight of his pole mace. Verlin runs one through, driving it to the ground with a deft twist of his spear. Zarmal reels back, still panicking despite the raider's best efforts to steady him. An axe clipping his face and carving deep into his cheek. As the raider's line begins to waver, their resolve soon follows suit. But many still yet fight on. The day's not lost just yet. Rook draws in a deep breath, sounding a blast on his carven horn, forcing Zarmal back to his senses. Tommy catches another corpse in the side of the head, a sickening crunch marking the snap of its jaw and neck. Random moves up, forcing his way past one of the fallen. Sight set on the Geist beyond. The raiders flag further still. The untiring nature of their undead foes finally getting the better of them. The ceaseless wail from beyond, fraying at their nerves, chilling their souls. And yet more rise. Wrestle breaks, random as well. Two more javelins impale a Weeder ganger on the north. The creature stubbornly squirms, pinned in place like a bug. Bowman continues laying down fire. Another corpse felled. Quiver run dry. He frantically fumbles for the second. Rev rushes forward. Fruitlessly trying to rally the raiders. And he turns, finally overwhelmed by some vestigial sense of self-preservation. Wrestle not far behind. Random as well. And yet more corpses rise. Ooh. With even Rev flagging now. Yeah, this is not going great. Arrow after arrow sinks into the corpses. Another falls. Val switches off to his third quiver. The last of his javelins brought to bear. Rook begins his advance, ceaselessly blasting on his warhorn. Raiders rousing from their stupor in his wake. Verlin wearily drives another Wiederganger to the dirt, almost too exhausted to wrench his spear free after. Rassel likewise rallies on the north. Tommy crushes another skull. A javelin pierces yet another Wiederganger, pinning it to a wooden cross behind. Come on now. Verlin puts down the last of the Wiederganger, at least temporarily, freeing up the rest of the raiders to advance upon the two sepulchral specters. The things hover, their frustrated shrieks growing ever louder, ever more shrill and insistent. And weary and wounded, the raiders finally turn the tide. One last corpse begins to rise, only to be immediately pin-cushioned by javelins and arrows from either side. A swipe of Tommy's pole mace, and the second Geist is finally disrupted. Its mournful wail wafting away on the misty breeze. And finally, mercifully, Rassel clears away the last. A hard-fought victory. Perhaps one of the raiders' hardest yet, and yet, despite that, they escaped relatively unscathed, with only Zarmal bearing a nasty scar across the cheek. Honestly, things could have been worse. And for their troubles, the raiders collect a number of unattended valuables unearthed from the half-excavated graves. Not to mention, of course, the fruits of the anatomist's own esoteric labors. The Dead Man's Drink. This draught, synthesized from the faint ectoplasmic remnants of a slain Geist, alters the body of whoever imbibes it to take on a similar ghostly aspect. Any weapons wielded by such a warrior will surely gain some of the creature's ability to bypass armor. Auditory hallucinations are an expected side effect of consuming the draught, and will likely cease after a while. Hopefully, anyway. Yeah, that's mildly concerning, but, on the bright side, plus 5% armor pen, but only for melee weapons. Otherwise, that's something I might consider for our throwers. That said, painful or not, I'd say that was well worth our time. Some decent loot, a new draught, level up for Rook. And honestly, even Zarmal's injury kind of comes with a silver lining. That's a good excuse to dose him up with one of our growing arsenal of elixirs. Perhaps with a potion of blade dancing? That would be a good fit for an aspiring dagger duelist. Yeah, let's go for it. Slot in Cetrus. And take care of that level up. Rook hits level 7, that means Nimble. Whiffed on melee, but we will take the morale, we'll take the initiative. And I suppose it is tempting to take range up to 10. It's either that or melee defense. Both are worthwhile investments. No, we'll go with MDef, at least until we hit 30. And yeah, I think his level 8 perk is going to have to be Fortified Mind. Really thought we had a better handle on Resolve, but apparently I was very mistaken. And you know what? As long as we're already out here, might as well take these guys out too. Though this time we will go in heavy with cleavers, since we've got a reanimator in the mix. Which I'm not anticipating too much issue with. It's really the Geists that almost did us in on that last one. As the raiders emerge from the cursed graveyard, wounded and weary, they almost immediately cross paths with the malevolent mystic, responsible for the restless dead they just put down. With a weary sigh, the raiders raise their weapons once more. After all, how best to inure our new recruits to the horrors of the undead than by repeated exposure therapy? Pursuing the pustulant priest into a nearby copse of woods, the raiders warily approach, using the trees as cover. Even as Bowman begins to work his way around, bow held low, arrow strung. He knows his job well. The rest of the raiders advance, cleavers beating on shields. The noise and movement meant to draw the sinister but single-minded soldiers forward. And one by one, they do indeed begin to filter from the foliage. A mostly pitiable and lightly armored lot. Evidence clear that the bulk of the necromancer's new troops were just hapless farmers. Only a scant few former bandits or militiamen amongst their number. One such bandit approaches on the north, eyes aglow. a hurled axe clipping off his moldering helm. On the south, Bowman takes aim. A shot arcs, but glances off an armored Wiederganger's shield. An undead militiaman standing staunch guard over its accursed creator. Shoot. The undead bandit lashes out with unnatural speed. The response is swift and merciless. The battering swings of a flail driving the former bandit to the ground. Verlin moves up. Random right behind. Pushing back the reanimated rank and file, giving Arrow room to operate. Axes hurl in from the sideline, carving flesh and lopping off limb. And yet still they limp forward, undeterred. They have no fear of death, for they are already dead. Even the necromancer himself barely classifies as living. Inhabited by some sinister beast from beyond, as he is. A sweep of Cetrus's blade, and a former farmer's head tumbles free. He kicks the headless corpse away, knees buckling, the body falling stiffly to the ground. Bowman circles wide, stepping up onto a shallow rise. The necromancer still yet locked in his sights. Rassel catches a club-wielding zombie in the head, fetid brain matter splattering the grass. And Drak moves up. Another head lopped off in his wake. The rest of the raiders pushing forward alongside him. Verlin lops the head off an undead bandit on the south. Ooh, nice. Cetrus beheads yet another on the north. Arrow, finally finding a clear line of sight, draws back his bowstring. His first shot creases the side of the necromancer's head. The second sinking deeper, finding the meat of the man's shoulder. And yet, the caster still stands. Val pins an undead bandit back to the earth. A whirl of randoms flail, another former farmer's head shattered. And only 3 yet remain. A bandit bludgeoner, a militia axeman, and the erstwhile enchanter who helped animate them. Or at least acted as the physical vessel for the thing that did. Verlin beheads the bandit on the south with one last heavy swing, chest rising and falling as he seeks to catch his breath. Cetrus circles warily to the north. The rest of the raiders are caught off guard as an undead bandit rises behind them once more despite the seeming catastrophic damage it had suffered. Rook surges forward, the necromancer's malevolent gaze tracking his advance, only to catch an arrow in the chest, realizing too late that the sergeant's charge was but a feint. With the sinister sorcerer dispatched, the last of its reanimated enforcers amble aimlessly, easy prey for the more self-aware. The undead militiaman finds itself steadily surrounded. The raiders moving in from every side to keep it contained. Some brief thought is given towards trying to preserve its gear, as tattered as it may be, but I don't think we really need that. Helm's too heavy, armor's too light. Not really worth the risk. A flash of Rook's pike and the point is moot. Corpse and cuirass both impaled. He holds it in place as best he can, the corpse writhing and flailing as the rest of the raiders descend upon it. Rassel aids his efforts, clubbing the thing about the head. And Random's flail finally splits its helm, the sodden contents seeping out, its hollow skulled husk finally going slack. Sadly, not much in the way of loot, but then again, what might one expect from a gaggle of undead goons and gardeners? The raiders gather what little there is that survived the fight, a few cleavers, a modest handful of gold, and yet walk away with something far more valuable. Practical experience, which Cetrus promptly puts to good use, though the RNG certainly could have treated him better. With a gifted chaser to further bump those numbers, which actually does put him in a decent place on defense. Not great, but within 2 max rolls of hitting that 20-point threshold. I should really even out our armor loads too. Some of our guys are definitely running a bit heavy. But I'll take care of that off screen. That's between episode bookkeeping, nothing we need to take care of now. Though we will swap in McLeod. That is something I need to get used to, is regularly cycling our guys in and out, just to make sure everyone gets some time out in the field. And back to Wallen. Let's collect our pay. Just in time, too. We are completely out of ammo. You come to Albric the Treasurer's room, a fresh map in hand. He takes it from you and looks it over. Well then, I'd mind to think this was a spot too easy, but an agreement is an agreement. He hands you a satchel, weighed with what is owed. And with that, I think we're at a good place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now, set up camp, wait for morn. I'll take care of the general inventory management. I think we will grab that boyer. I mean, I'd rather hold out for a hunter, but we really, at this point, just need to take what we can get. At least if we want a gunner online by the time we hit that first crisis. Day 40 is come and gone, so who knows what the future holds for the raiders. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.